That's the first thing I remember hearing as I stood outside the window, watching them. My name, spoken in past tense. My memory, wrapped in flowers and buried beneath tears. But what happens when the one you've mourned for walks back in? It was a stormy evening when I returned. The kind of sky that holds secrets, gray, swollen, waiting to weep.
I didn't wear black.
I didn't wear white. I wore silence, and it fit perfectly. The house looked smaller, the windows dimmer, and yet my photograph still hung in the hallway, framed in grief. You don't forget the sound of people crying for you when you're not dead. You don't forget your mother's voice cracking as she whispered your name into the wind. You don't forget the way they closed the chapter on your life while you were still flipping the pages from behind the curtain. They said I drowned, that the river swallowed me whole. They lit candles, wrote eulogies, made peace with ghosts. But I was never gone. I was never beneath the water. I was beneath their lies. Have you ever stood outside your own funeral? Have you ever heard people say how much they loved you after it was too late? Because I have. I stood there, hidden in the shadows, listening to people decorate my absence with stories I didn't recognize. She was too good for this world. No wonder the angels took her early. She must have made peace with everything before she left. Peace? There was no peace. There was only pain. There was only betrayal. There was only the silence that came after I screamed and no one answered. I wasn't supposed to come back. The story had already been written. She's dead. Gone. Lost forever. But the truth has a way of knocking at the door, especially when it's been locked away. And sometimes that truth wears the face of someone they thought they buried. When I walked in, the room froze. Not a word, not a breath, not a sound, just wide eyes. And a scream. They didn't scream because they were happy. They screamed because they were guilty. I saw it in their faces, the shock, the fear, the panic. Because my death had served a purpose. My disappearance had solved a problem. My silence had protected secrets. But I came back, not just to be seen, but to speak, to shatter the lies, to reclaim the life they tried to erase. This is not a ghost story. This is a story of resurrection, of truth, of reckoning, because the dead don't always stay buried. And sometimes, the ones you mourned are the ones who come back to mourn you. My name is Ayla. I was never the kind of girl who stood out in a crowd. Not loud, not flashy, but I saw things, quiet things, hidden things. I noticed the tremble in voices, the glances people thought no one would catch. I knew when someone was lying. I could feel it in the way their words bent at the edges. I grew up in a small town wrapped in whispers. The kind of place where everyone knows your name and your business. Where rumors bloom faster than wildflowers and secrets get passed around like candy at Sunday school. My mother, Ruth, was a stern woman with kind eyes. She worked hard to raise me on her own after my father disappeared when I was just 3. People say he ran off with someone else, but no one ever really knew. My mother never spoke of it. She just kept her head down, hands busy, heart quiet. We weren't rich. We weren't poor. Just surviving. I spent most of my days reading, drawing, or sitting under the big elm tree behind our house. That was my safe place. The branches knew my secrets. Then came Nathan. He was new in town. Moved in with his uncle, the local sheriff. Tall, with that easy smile and troubled eyes. He was the first person who made me feel seen, not just looked at. He had a way of making the world feel like it was holding its breath when he looked at you. We became friends fast. Then more than friends. But that's where the story starts to twist. Because love, as beautiful as it is, can become dangerous when it mixes with desperation. Nathan had secrets too. I found that out slowly. Late-night phone calls. Bruises he couldn't explain. Panic in his voice when certain names were mentioned. I should have walked away. But how do you walk away from someone who once made you feel alive when the world made you feel invisible? I didn't know then what I know now, that Nathan was being watched, controlled, that his uncle, Sheriff Briggs, wasn't the upstanding man everyone thought he was, that this town was darker than it looked. There was an incident. One night, one mistake. And after that, I was never the same. It started with a lie. A lie so simple, it slid through the cracks of reality. She went missing. No trace. She was last seen near the river. But I wasn't near the river. I was at the cabin, the old one, tucked in the woods beyond the lake, where Nathan took me, where he said we'd be safe. But safety was just another illusion, because while we were there, something happened. Someone came, someone who wasn't supposed to know, and everything spiraled out of control. I remember being chased. I remember shouting Nathan's name. I remember the blood. And then darkness. When I woke up, I was alone, in a place I didn't recognize. A cabin, yes, but different, older, forgotten by time. I don't know how I got there. I don't know who brought me, but someone wanted me to disappear. Someone wanted me erased. I spent months in hiding. No phone, no way out, just the wind and my thoughts for company. And the worst part? I started to believe I was dead too, until one day I found a box, tucked beneath the floorboards. Inside, letters, notes, warnings, all addressed to me, from someone who knew everything. Someone who said I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't alone. Their words became my light, their instructions my way back. And slowly, like fog lifting, I began to remember. Faces, voices, and a promise I made to myself. I will return, not just for me but for the truth. Now let's talk about Sheriff Briggs. To the town, he was a pillar, a man of order. But behind closed doors, he ran things his way. People feared him, but they called it respect. He covered up crimes. He silenced victims. And when he couldn't silence them, he made them disappear. I wasn't the first. And if I hadn't come back, I wouldn't have been the last. Nathan tried to protect me, I believe that. But he was caught in something bigger than both of us. And I don't know whether he betrayed me or tried to save me. That's the thing about trauma, it leaves gaps, holes in the story, voids where memories used to be. But as I walked back into that town, with dirt under my nails and fire in my chest, I knew one thing for sure. They all thought I was dead. They needed me to be dead, because the truth I carry threatens everything they've built. And now, I've returned, not the girl they buried, but the storm they never saw coming. The moment I stepped back into town, the world stopped breathing. I wore a hood. I walked like a ghost among the living. My feet knew the cracked pavement like an old song, yet everything felt foreign. Faces I'd known for years blinked past me, unaware, unfazed, completely convinced I was gone.
Dead.
There was a signboard in front of the local diner, in loving memory of Ayla Monroe. My name, my face, flowers beneath it, like I had never mattered, like I was nothing more than a name etched in sorrow. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Not yet. Because I needed to see who mourned and who pretended. I made my way to the church first. That's where it started. That's where the lies were sealed. Inside, Pastor Dale was talking to a small group. He didn't see me slip into the back pew. And we pray for her soul gone too soon. But the Lord knows all things. My picture sat on the altar. Candles flickered around it. Gone too soon? I was there, breathing, watching. Do you know what it feels like to hear your own eulogy? It's like drowning in silence. After the service, I watched people leave. Hushed voices. Sad smiles. Then came the whispers I'd been waiting for. I heard she was pregnant when it happened. They say Nathan was with her the night she vanished. Maybe it was suicide. No body was ever found, though. No body. Because I wasn't dead. But someone made sure it looked that way. I followed the threads. I went to the library where Mrs. Evans still worked. She always liked me. When I walked in, she looked up and gasped. Ayla? Her cup dropped. Shattered. I placed a finger to my lips.
Sure.
I need your help. She trembled, eyes wide with disbelief. But how? Everyone thought. I know what they thought. But I'm here now. And I need information. She took me to the back room, still stunned. That's when I found the article. Front page. Local team disappears, presumed dead after search called off. Beneath it, a blurry photo of me. And another of Nathan. The police report said, I left a note. But I never wrote one. They said you drowned, Mrs. Evans whispered. That your clothes were found near the river. That you and Nathan had a fight. But we didn't, I said. We went to the cabin. We were running from something. Or someone. My hands shook. Sheriff Briggs was leading the investigation, wasn't he? Mrs. Evans nodded slowly. And there it was. The thread pulled tighter. Because Sheriff Briggs was the one person who could erase a truth and turn it into fiction. I stepped out of the library and walked straight into the arms of a memory. Nathan, standing by the edge of the road, older now, leaner, his eyes shadowed by years. When he saw me, his face drained of color. Ayla? It wasn't a whisper. It was a wound tearing open. I didn't know whether to run into his arms or punch him. Instead, I stood there, watching his every breath. You're alive, he said. You're really here. You tell me, I said coldly. Did you think I wouldn't come back? He reached for me. Ayla, I tried to find you. I thought you were
dead.
I laughed, but it was hollow. That makes two of us. He looked around, then pulled me aside, out of sight. There's things you don't know, he said. Things I couldn't say. I don't have time for riddles, Nathan. I need the truth. He hesitated. It was my uncle, he said at last. He found out about us. About what I told you. About what he was doing. He thought you'd talk. What was he doing? I asked. Nathan looked away. Smuggling. Cover-ups. He was making money off evidence. Drugs. Even people. The words burned. You tried to warn me, I whispered. But it was too late. He nodded. The night at the cabin, he sent someone to scare us. But things went wrong. I remember screaming. Running. You hit your head. You blacked out. I tried to wake you, but you wouldn't move. And then, I panicked. I went to get help, but when I came back, you were gone. My uncle was there. He said he took care of it. Took care of it. Like I was trash. Like I was a problem that needed to disappear. Nathan broke down. I should have stopped him. I should have. Why didn't you tell anyone? I tried. But he threatened me. Said I'd be next. And he wasn't bluffing, Ayla. He had people everywhere. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. So you let me die in their minds, I said. No, he said, stepping closer. I never stopped looking. I kept going back to the cabin. I left notes. Letters. In case you were alive. My heart stuttered. The box. The notes. They were from him. I don't know who moved you, Ayla, he said. But someone was trying to protect you. And then something snapped in me. They covered up my life like it was nothing, I said. And now I'm back. And they're going to pay. He nodded. You're not alone anymore. But that's when we heard it, a gunshot. Distant. But unmistakable. Nathan grabbed my hand. We have to go. Who was that? I asked. Probably someone who knows you're alive. The hunt had begun. And I was no longer hiding. The moon hung heavy in the sky as Nathan and I ran through the tangled woods behind the cabin. The cold bit at my skin, but fear was a fiercer flame inside me. Every rustle, every crack of a branch sent shivers down my spine. Were they chasing us, or was it just my imagination? I glanced over at Nathan. His jaw was clenched, eyes sharp, scanning the darkness. I realized then how much he had changed. No longer the scared boy who lost me to a ghost story, but a man ready to fight. We can't keep running forever, I said, breath ragged. We need to face this. Nathan nodded grimly. There's a safe place I know, my friend's farm. It's isolated. They owe me favors. We pressed on, adrenaline fueling each step. But just as we neared the farm, headlights flashed behind us. A black SUV barreled through the trees, tearing up dirt. Get down, Nathan hissed. We dove behind a thicket, hearts pounding like drums. The vehicle stopped. Men jumped out, weapons drawn. I recognized one face, Sheriff Briggs. The man who erased my existence. He stepped forward, a twisted smile curling his lips. Well, well. Look who decided to come back from the dead, he sneered. I'm not dead, I said, voice steady but full of fire. Briggs laughed darkly. That's where you're wrong, Ayla. You've been dead to this town, and soon you'll be dead for real. Nathan clenched his fists. You're finished, Briggs. Briggs's eyes flicked to Nathan. You think you can stop me? You're just a scared kid. Suddenly, behind us, a group emerged. Farmhands and locals Nathan had called for backup. They surrounded Briggs and his men. Your time is up, one growled. A fight erupted, chaos under the moonlight. I grabbed a fallen branch, ready to defend myself. Fear morphed into rage, a fierce determination to reclaim my life. Briggs lunged at Nathan, but a strong arm grabbed him from behind. He was wrestled to the ground as others pinned his men. I stepped forward. It's over. Briggs spat on the ground. You don't understand the power you're meddling with. I looked him in the eyes. You underestimated me. I'm alive, and I'm not afraid. We called the authorities, exposing Briggs's crimes, drug smuggling, evidence tampering, threats. The town that had believed I was dead now faced the truth. Days later, as I sat by the river where it all began, Nathan beside me, the sun broke through the clouds. The world felt different, raw, but hopeful. I thought about the lies, the pain, the betrayal, but also about the strength I found in facing the darkness. What now? Nathan asked softly. I smiled. Now we live. For real. Because sometimes, walking in when everyone says you're dead means more than survival. It means reclaiming your story, your truth, your life. Sometimes, life writes stories that seem impossible, where you're declared gone, erased from memories, and written off like a forgotten chapter. But what if the ending isn't what everyone expects? What if the story is still being written, and the pages ahead hold your comeback? This journey, fraught with shadows and doubt, reminds us that true strength lies not in never falling, but in rising when the world says you won't. Being told you're dead can be a metaphor for any moment you've felt invisible, betrayed, or pushed to your limits. So I ask you, when you face those moments, what will you do? Will you let the world define your fate? Or will you walk back into the light, stronger and more certain than before? The path ahead may be uncertain, but your story is yours to claim. Like the phoenix rising from ashes, you can turn your trials into triumphs. You can walk in when they said you'd never return. Remember, every ending holds the seed of a new beginning. What will you choose to grow from yours?